Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the large window of his ship. Outside, stars filled the dark space like tiny diamonds. His hands shook as he held the message from the aliens. He had read it many times, but the words still made him angry. The message was simple and cruel. The Zephyrian Confederation wanted all human colonies to surrender. They wanted humans to become slaves. If humans said no, the aliens would kill everyone. They gave humanity exactly 72 hours to decide. Jake looked at the message again. The alien commander who sent it was called Vexther. This creature had destroyed many worlds before. Now he wanted to destroy humanity too. The Zephyrians had been the rulers of space for 300 years. Their ships were made of some kind of crystal that could not be broken. Their weapons could turn entire cities into dust in seconds. No one had ever beaten them in a fight. Jake's ship, the U's Defiance, was strong for a human ship. But compared to the alien vessels, it was like a toy. The Zephyrians had thousands of warships. Humanity had maybe 200 ships that could fight. Dr. Lisa Grant walked onto the bridge. She was the smartest person Jake knew when it came to aliens. Her face was pale and worried. "Have you seen the latest reports?" she asked. Jake nodded. "Tell me what you think." Lisa pulled up a hologram showing the alien fleet. Hundreds of crystal. Ships moved through space like deadly birds. Each one was 3 times bigger than the largest human ship. "They have plasma weapons," Lisa said. "One shot can destroy a whole city block. Their shields have never been broken by any weapon we know about. They also have something called phase cannons that can shoot through solid matter." Jake felt his heart sink. "What about their weaknesses?" "We don't know of any," Lisa admitted. "Every species they have fought has surrendered or been destroyed. They follow some kind of honor code in war, but that doesn't help us much." The bridge door opened and Captain Sam Mitchell walked in. He was young, but had already seen 3 battles against pirates. His uniform was perfect, but his eyes looked tired. "Sir, we just got word from Earth," Sam said. "President Kyle Rogers is calling an emergency meeting. All fleet commanders need to join by quantum link." Jake sighed. He knew this meeting would not bring good news. An hour later, Jake sat in his command chair. The hologram showed the emergency council room on Earth. President Rogers sat at the head of a long table. Around him sat the most important military leaders of humanity. General Amanda Stone was there. She had fought in the colony wars and never lost a battle. Admiral Tom Clark commanded the home fleet that protected Earth. Colonel Steve Price led the Marine forces. They all looked worried. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Rogers began, "we face the greatest threat in human history. The Zephyrians have given us 72 hours to surrender all our colonies and accept slavery. If we refuse, they will attack with their full fleet." General Stone activated a star map. Red dots showed where the alien ships were gathering. There were so many dots that some parts of the map looked completely red. "Our intelligence says they have over 3,000 warships," she said. "We have 247 ships that can fight. The math is simple. We cannot win a direct battle." Admiral Clark leaned forward. "What about evacuation? Can we get our people out of the colonies?" "There's no time," Colonel Price answered. "We have maybe 50 million people in the outer colonies. Our transport ships could save maybe 5 million before the aliens arrive." The room fell silent. Jake felt sick thinking about all those people who would die. President Rogers looked directly at Jake through the hologram. "Admiral Morrison, you're our closest commander to their main fleet. What do you see?" Jake stood up. "Sir, they're confident. Too confident. They think we'll surrender without a fight. Their ships are moving slowly, like they're on parade." "That matches what we know about them," Dr. Grant said from beside Jake. "They've never faced real resistance." Every species they've conquered has given up quickly. General Stone brought up more data. Here's what we know about their past conquests. The Altair Republic lasted 6 days. The Vegan Empire fought for 2 weeks. The longest war they ever had was against the Centauri Federation, which lasted 1 month. Why did those wars end so quickly? President Rogers asked. Because those species fought with honor, Lisa explained. They had rules about war. They didn't want to hurt civilians. They tried to minimize damage. The Zephyrians respect that kind of fighting. Jake suddenly understood something. But we're different. What do you mean? The president asked. We're different from those other species. Jake said, we don't have the same honor codes. When humans fight, we fight to win. We don't care about rules if our families are in danger. The room was quiet for a long moment. Everyone was thinking about what Jake had said. General Stone spoke first. You're talking about total war. I'm talking about survival, Jake replied. The Zephyrians think they know how this will go. They think we'll fight a few battles, lose badly, and then surrender. They don't understand humans. President Rogers looked around the table. What are our options? We have 3 choices, General. Stone said. First, we surrender and become slaves. Second, we fight and probably lose everyone. Third, we fight differently than they expect. What does that mean? Admiral Clark asked. Jake felt something cold and hard growing in his chest. It means we show them what humans do when someone threatens our families. It means we fight like animals if we have to. Dr. Grant looked worried. Jake, if we go down that path, we might not be able to come back. War changes people. It changes entire species. Then maybe it's time we changed, Jake said quietly. President Rogers stood up. I need to think about this. We have 18 hours before I have to give the Zephyrians an answer. All commanders, prepare your fleets for either surrender or battle. I'll contact you with the decision. The hologram disappeared, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts. Outside his window, the stars looked different now. They didn't seem peaceful anymore. They seemed like points of light in a vast battlefield. Lisa sat down beside him. Do you really think we can win? Jake was quiet for a long time. I don't know if we can win, but I know we won't go quietly. If the Zephyrians want to destroy humanity, they're going to learn what it costs. 16 hours later, Jake received his final orders from Earth Command. The message was short but clear. Since you want war, let us teach you. Jake smiled for the first time in days. Humanity had made its choice. Captain Sam Mitchell watched the enemy ships appear on his screen. They came out of hyperspace like silver ghosts, their crystal hulls reflecting the light of New Denver's sun. There were 12 of them, each one bigger than his entire space. Station Sam commanded the defense grid around New Denver Colony. It was home to 2 million people. Most of them were farmers and miners who had never seen a war. Now they were about to face the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Sir, they're sending a message, said Lieutenant Danny Walsh from the communication station. Put it on screen, Sam ordered. The face that appeared was not human. Vexther had skin like blue stone and eyes that glowed yellow. When he spoke, his voice was cold and emotionless. Humans of New Denver Colony, you will surrender now. Land all your ships and prepare for processing. You have 10 minutes to comply. Sam looked at his crew. They were all young, mostly fresh out of the academy. They looked scared but determined. Send a reply, Sam said. Tell them we declined their generous offer. The alien's eyes grew brighter. Then you will die. All of you. The screen went dark. Sam opened a channel to all ships in the system. This is Captain Mitchell to all vessels. Earth Command has given us our orders. We fight. We make them pay for every inch of space. We show them what happens when you threaten human families. Commander Nicole Brooks was leading a squadron of 12 fighters. Her ship was tiny compared to the alien vessels, but it was fast and could turn quickly. "Nicole here," her voice came. Through the radio. "My birds are ready to fly." "Where do you want us?" "Hit their flanks," Sam said. "Don't try to fight them directly. Hit and run. Make them chase you." "Copy that," Nicole replied. "Let's show these rock faces how humans dance." The Zephyrian ships began to move forward. They came in perfect formation, like they were still on parade. Their plasma cannons started charging, creating balls of blue fire along their hulls. Sam's defense platforms opened fire first. The missiles streaked through space, but the alien shields stopped them easily. The explosions looked like fireworks, bouncing off invisible walls. Then the aliens fired back. The plasma bolts hit Defense Platform Alpha and turned it into vapor instantly. 300 people died in a flash of blue light. Platform Beta lasted 2 seconds longer before it, too, was destroyed. "All ships scatter," Sam ordered. "Don't let them hit you in formation." The human ships spread out like leaves in the wind. They were not trying to win a direct fight. They were trying to survive and hurt the enemy as much as possible. Nicole's fighters came in from the side. They flew straight at the biggest alien ship, their guns blazing. The lasers barely scratched the crystal hull, but they got the aliens' attention. "Come on, you ugly rocks," Nicole shouted over the radio. "Is that all you got?" 3 alien ships turned to chase her fighters. Nicole led them away from the main battle, making them waste time and energy. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Daddy Walsh had an idea. He was flying a cargo ship loaded with mining explosives. It was not supposed to be a weapon, but Danny had a plan. "Captain Mitchell, I'm going to ram the lead ship," Danny said. "Negative," Sam replied. "We need you alive." "Sir, my ship is too slow to escape anyway, but I can take one of them with me." Before Sam could stop him, Danny pushed his engines to full power. The cargo ship accelerated toward the alien flagship. The Zephyrians tried to shoot it down, but Danny flew in a crazy pattern that made him hard to hit at the last second. Danny activated all the mining charges. The explosion was enormous. It cracked the alien ship's shields and damaged its hull. The ship did not die, but it was hurt. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the human fleet was destroyed. All the defense platforms were gone. New Denver Colony was captured, but the Zephyrians had lost 3 ships and damaged 4 others. They had never lost so many ships in a single battle before. On the alien flagship, War Prime Kethver studied the battle recordings. He was the supreme commander of the Zephyrian military. He had won 1,000 battles and conquered 50 worlds. "What happened here?" he asked his staff. "The humans fought strangely," replied his aide. "They did not try to protect their ships. They used them as weapons. And this one," Kethvar pointed to Danny's suicide run, "he destroyed himself just to hurt us." "Why?" "Unknown, War Prime. Their behavior does not match any known pattern." Kethvar felt something he had never felt before. Doubt. These humans were not fighting like the other species. They were fighting like animals with nothing to lose. The same pattern happened at 7 other colonies. At Titan Station, engineer Mark Johnson rigged the fusion reactors to explode when the aliens boarded. The explosion destroyed half the alien landing force. On Mars, Colonel Beth Turner led the colonists in a different kind of war. After the planet officially surrendered, she disappeared into the tunnels under the cities. For months, her people attacked alien patrols, destroyed supply depots, and made life hell for the occupying forces. The Zephyrians had never faced guerrilla warfare before. They did not know how to fight an enemy that hid among civilians. Every time they tried to find Beth's people, the humans melted away like smoke. "They fight without honor," complained Commander Vexter during a military briefing. "They attack from hiding. They target supply lines instead of military targets. They use civilians as shields." "Is this not what inferior species do when they cannot win?" asked another officer. "No," Vexter said slowly. "Inferior species surrender. These humans, they become more dangerous when they are losing." At the Proxima mining station, Captain Tony Rodriguez had only 6 ships left. The alien fleet had 30 vessels surrounding him. Any normal commander would have surrendered. Instead, Tony led his ships into the asteroid field. The rocks were dangerous, but they provided cover. Tony's people knew how to fly in asteroid fields. The aliens did not. "Use the rocks as shields," Tony ordered. "Make them come to us." The aliens followed, but their big ships could not move well between the asteroids. Tony's smaller vessels darted between the rocks like fish in a coral reef. When alien ships got too close, Tony's people would detonate mining charges hidden in the asteroids. The explosions would send rock fragments flying like bullets. The alien shields could stop energy weapons, but they had trouble with solid objects moving at high speed. The battle in the asteroid field lasted 2 days. In the end, Tony's fleet was destroyed, but he had taken 8 alien ships with him. By the 3rd month of the war, the Zephyrians had conquered 15 human colonies, but they had lost more ships than in their last 10 wars combined. Their casualty reports were shocking. War Prime Kethvar called a meeting of his senior commanders. They gathered in the crystal chamber of his flagship. "Report," he ordered. "We have lost 847 ships," said his aide. "Another 1,200 are damaged and need repair. We have lost 400,000 warriors." The room was silent. These numbers were unthinkable. "What about the humans?" Kethvar asked. "They have lost approximately 2,000 ships and 50 million people. By all measures, we are winning." "Then why do I feel like we are losing?" Another commander spoke up. "War Prime, the humans are not fighting to win. They are fighting to hurt us. Every battle costs us more than it should." Kethvar looked at the star map. Red markers showed human colonies they had conquered, but those conquests felt hollow. The humans were still fighting on captured worlds. They were still causing problems. "What do our intelligence reports say about Earth?" he asked. "They are building more ships. Their entire economy has switched to war production. They are also developing new weapons." "What kind of weapons?" "Unknown." "War Prime. But our spies report unusual activity in their biological research facilities." Kethvar felt that doubt growing stronger. These humans were not like other species. They did not follow the rules of civilized warfare. They fought like they wanted to drag their enemies into hell with them. "Double the guard on all occupied worlds," he ordered, "and prepare the main fleet. We will end this war by attacking their homeworld directly." As his commanders filed out, Kethvar remained alone in the chamber. He looked at the images of human fighters ramming his ships. He watched recordings of human soldiers fighting to the death instead of surrendering. For the first time in his long military career, War Prime Kethvar wondered if his people had made a mistake. They had wanted to conquer humanity. Instead, they might have awakened something far more dangerous. The war was only beginning. War Prime Kethvar stood before the massive hologram showing Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful and beautiful, but he knew it was the heart of human resistance. His fleet of 2,000 ships surrounded the system like a metal storm. "This will end their rebellion," he said to his commanders. "When Earth burns, the remaining human colonies will surrender." Admiral Jake Morrison received the news while his ship was being repaired. The aliens were coming to Earth with their entire fleet. Every human ship that could fly was being called back to defend humanity's homeworld. Jake looked at the damage. Reports. His fleet had been cut in half during the fighting at the outer colonies. The men and women under his command were tired and angry. They had watched their friends die in battle after battle. Dr. Lisa Grant met Jake in the medical bay. She had dark circles under her eyes from working without sleep for weeks. "The biological weapon is ready," she said quietly. Jake felt his stomach twist. They had talked about this option many times. It was a virus that would attack the alien nervous system. It would be painful and deadly. But it would only work on Zephyrians, not humans. "Are you sure it will work?" Jake asked. "Our tests show it will spread through their air systems within hours. Their entire fleet will be infected before they know it hit them." "And their colonies?" Lisa nodded grimly. "We've already released. And on the worlds they captured. It will take time to spread, but eventually. Quotes Jake understood. This weapon would kill millions of aliens, including civilians. It went against everything humans claim to believe about war. But the aliens had given them no choice. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. 3 days until they reach Earth's outer defenses. Captain Tony Rodriguez was commanding Luna Base when the alien fleet arrived. The moon's surface was covered with weapon platforms and missile batteries. It looked like a metal porcupine bristling with guns. "Here they come," Tony said to his crew. "Remember, we're not trying to stop them. We're trying to slow them down and hurt them." The Zephyrian ships came in waves. Their crystal hulls reflected the light from Earth's sun, making them look like a swarm of deadly jewels. They moved with perfect precision, just like always. Tony had learned something important from the previous battles. The aliens expected humans to fight defensively. They thought humans would try to protect their positions. Instead, Tony had prepared a different kind of welcome. "Activate the mining charges," he ordered. Luna Base had been a mining colony before it became a military base. Humans had placed thousands of explosive charges throughout the asteroid belt between Earth and Mars. When the aliens flew into the trap, the space around them exploded. The asteroids became a cloud of deadly fragments flying in all directions. The alien shields could stop energy weapons, but they had trouble with solid objects. Hundreds of ships were damaged by the flying rocks. "Now launch the missiles," Tony commanded. The missiles came from every direction. They were not aimed at the alien ships. Instead, they were programmed to explode near the ships and create more debris. The Zephyrians found themselves flying through a storm of metal fragments. War Prime Kethver watched his ships taking damage and felt his anger growing. "These humans fight like cowards," he snarled. "They hide behind tricks and traps." "Should we change our approach?" asked his aide. "No. Push through. We will show them what real military power looks like." But the humans had more surprises waiting. Captain Sam Mitchell was in charge of the defense satellites around Earth. These were not normal satellites. They were disguised as space debris, floating quietly until the aliens came close. When the Zephyrian fleet reached Earth's orbit, the satellites activated. They were not trying to destroy the alien ships. Instead, they fired special ammunition that stuck to the alien hulls like glue. Lieutenant Sarah Kim was monitoring the operation from Earth's surface. She watched as thousands of small devices attached themselves to the enemy ships. "Charges are in place," she reported, "ready to detonate on your command." Admiral Morrison was now commanding the defense from his flagship in Earth's orbit. He could see the alien fleet spreading out to attack the planet. There were so many ships that they blocked out the stars. "All ships, prepare for final assault," Morrison ordered. "Make them pay for every mile." The battle for Earth began at dawn. The aliens started by attacking the orbital defense platforms. Their plasma cannons turned the metal structures into clouds of vapor. Thousands of defenders died in the first few minutes, but the humans had learned to fight differently. Instead of trying to protect their positions, they used them as weapons. When Defense Platform 7 was about to be destroyed, its crew aimed it at the nearest alien ship and activated the engines. The platform rammed the enemy vessel and exploded, taking both ships with it. The same thing happened all around Earth's orbit. Human ships and stations became guided missiles. The aliens had superior technology, but they were not prepared for enemies who turned their own defeat into victory. On Earth's surface, the evacuation was not going as planned. There were too many people and not enough transport ships. Lieutenant Kim was helping coordinate the civilian evacuation when the first alien troops landed. The Zephyrians expected the humans to surrender once their military was defeated. Instead, they found armed civilians waiting for them. Teachers, doctors, and factory workers had picked up weapons and joined the fight. "They're landing near the spaceport," reported Sergeant Mike Brown over the radio. "Looks like a full invasion force." Kim looked at the tactical display. The aliens were spreading out from their landing zones, expecting to capture key locations quickly. But the humans had abandoned those locations and filled them with traps. "Activate the building charges," Kim ordered. Across the planet, important buildings exploded just as the aliens reached them. Government offices, military bases, and communication centers turned into rubble. The aliens captured nothing but empty ruins in space. The battle was reaching its climax. Admiral Morrison's fleet was almost destroyed, but they had hurt the aliens badly. The virus that Dr. Grant had created was starting to spread through the alien fleet. "Sir, we're getting reports from the enemy ships," said his communications officer. "They're reporting some kind of sickness among their crews." Morrison smiled grimly. "Tell all ships to prepare for final assault. Hit them while they're confused." The human ships made one last desperate charge. They flew straight at the alien fleet, their guns blazing. Most of them were destroyed, but they took many enemies with them. Captain Rodriguez's ship was hit by 3 plasma bolts. As his vessel began to break apart, he aimed it at the alien flagship and pushed the engines to maximum power. "This is for Danny Walsh," he shouted as his ship rammed into the enemy vessel. The explosion cracked the alien flagship's hull and sent it spinning out of control. War Prime Kethfer felt his ship shaking around him. "Damage report," he ordered. "Hull breached on 7 levels." His aide reported, "We're losing atmosphere. And sir, we're getting reports of illness throughout the fleet." "What kind of illness?" "Unknown. The symptoms started an hour ago. Neural disruption, loss of coordination, difficulty breathing." Kethfer felt a chill of fear. The humans had used biological weapons. They had poisoned his entire fleet. "Can we continue the attack?" he asked. "Negative, War Prime. Too many ships are affected. We need to retreat and find a cure." The battle for Earth lasted 6 days. When it was over, the planet was badly damaged. Half the population was dead or missing. Entire continents were covered in radioactive craters, but the Zephyrian fleet was destroyed. Of the 2,000 ships that had attacked Earth, only 300 limped away. The rest were floating debris in space. Admiral Morrison stood in the ruins of his command center. Through the broken windows, he could see the wreckage of both fleets drifting in Earth's orbit. Dr. Grant joined him, her face pale with exhaustion. "The virus is spreading to their colonies. Our intelligence reports say it's causing panic throughout their empire." Morrison nodded. "Good. Let them feel what we felt." "Jake, are you sure about this? We're talking about genocide." Morrison looked at her with cold eyes. "They started this war. They wanted to make us slaves. Now they get to learn what it means to fight humans." On the alien flagship, War Prime Kethfor received reports from across the Zephyrian Empire. The human virus was spreading faster than they could contain it. Entire worlds were falling sick. How many are affected? He asked. Approximately 40% of our population, War Prime. And the numbers are growing. Kethver felt something he had never experienced before. Despair. His people had started this war thinking they were conquering primitives. Instead, they had awakened. A nightmare. What do the humans want? He asked. They haven't made any demands, War Prime. Their ships are just ... hunting us. Kethver looked at the tactical display. Human ships were appearing throughout Zephyrian space, attacking supply convoys and colonies. They were not trying to conquer. They were trying to destroy. Send a message to Earth, he ordered. Tell them we want to negotiate. The reply came back quickly. It was from Admiral Morrison himself. The message was short and brutal. You wanted war. Now you have it. The Zephyrians have learned too late that there are some enemies you should never awaken. Humans, when pushed to their limits, became something far more dangerous than any military force. They became monsters. Captain Alex Turner stared at the ruins of his home. New Chicago had been a beautiful city once, with tall towers and green parks. Now it was a crater filled with radioactive glass. His wife and daughter had died here during the battle for Earth. Alex commanded the UES Retribution, a ship built from the wreckage of human and alien vessels. His crew was made up of survivors like himself. They had all lost everything in the war. Now they had only one purpose: revenge. Captain, we're approaching. The Zephyrian supply convoy, reported Lieutenant Kate Powell from the navigation station. Alex looked at the screen. 6 alien cargo ships were moving slowly through space, protected by 2 warships. The convoy was carrying medical supplies to treat the virus that was killing their people. No survivors, Alex said quietly. Destroy everything. The Retribution dropped out of hyperspace right on top of the convoy. The aliens were caught completely by surprise. Their escort ships tried to fight back, but they were slow and sick. The virus had weakened their crews. Alex's ship fired continuously until all the alien vessels were destroyed. Then he watched the wreckage drift through space. He felt nothing. No satisfaction, no guilt. Just emptiness. Well done, he told his crew. Let's find the next target. This same scene was happening all across Zephyrian space. Human ships appeared without warning, destroyed everything they could find, and disappeared again. They were like ghosts striking from the darkness. Commander. Kate Powell led a different kind of mission. She commanded a team of special forces that operated behind enemy lines. They had learned to use captured alien technology to disguise themselves. Kate's team was on the planet Zephyr Prime, deep in enemy territory. The planet was home to 20 million aliens, but half of them were dead or dying from the virus. The rest were too weak to fight effectively. The weapons factory is just ahead, whispered Sergeant Mike Brown. His team was carrying enough explosives to level a city block. They moved through the alien city like shadows. The streets were empty except for the sick and dying. The Zephyrians had never faced biological warfare before. They did not know how to protect themselves. Kate's team reached the factory and planted their charges. The building produced plasma, weapons for the alien military. Destroying it would hurt their war effort for months. Charges set, reported Brown. Ready to detonate. Do it, Kate ordered. The explosion lit up the night sky. The factory collapsed in a cloud of fire and debris. Millions of weapons were destroyed in seconds. But Kate's team was not finished. They had a list of targets to hit. Power plants, communication centers, military bases. They would destroy everything that kept the alien civilization running. Major. Rick Davis was building something different. He was establishing hidden bases throughout Zephyrian space. These bases would serve as supply depots and launching points for human attacks. Rick's base was hidden inside a dead moon orbiting the planet Kepler-7. The moon looked lifeless from the outside, but inside it was full of weapons and equipment. Human engineers had carved out tunnels and chambers using alien mining technology. "Sir, we have 20 fighters ready to launch," reported his aide. "What are our orders?" Rick looked at the tactical display. It showed all the alien ships in the system. Most of them were moving slowly, their crews weakened by the virus. "Target the passenger ships," Rick ordered. "Make sure none of them escape." His aide looked uncomfortable. "Sir, those ships are carrying civilians. Families trying to evacuate." Rick's face was like stone. "The aliens didn't care about our civilians when they attacked Earth. We won't care about theirs." The human fighters launched from the hidden base. They attacked the civilian ships with ruthless efficiency. The aliens tried to surrender, but the humans ignored their pleas. No mercy was shown. This was the new way of war. The humans had learned to fight like the aliens, but they had taken it further. They showed no honor, no compassion, no limits. They had become pure destruction. War Prime Kefvar sat in his command center, watching his empire fall apart. Reports came in every hour of new attacks. Human ships were everywhere, striking at targets he didn't even know were important. "How many ships have we lost this week?" he asked his aide. 47, War Prime. Plus 12 colonies have gone dark. We think they've been destroyed." Kefvar felt sick. The virus was affecting him too, making it hard to think clearly. His people were dying, and he couldn't stop it. What about the cure? He asked. "Our scientists are working on it, but the humans designed the virus well. It adapts to our treatments." "And our military response? Our fleets are afraid to leave port. Every time we send out a patrol, it doesn't come back." Kefvar looked at the star map. Red zones showed areas where human raiders were active. The red was spreading like a disease, covering more and more of Zephian space. "They're not fighting like any species we've encountered," he said. "They don't want to conquer us. They want to destroy us completely." His aide nodded. "Their attacks have no strategic value. They're just killing everything they can find." Because we killed their families, Kefvar realized. This isn't about territory or resources. This is about revenge. Commander Nicole Brooks was leading a squadron of fighters through the Rigel system. Her ships were painted black to hide them in the darkness of space. They moved like predators, hunting for alien vessels. "Contact ahead," reported her wingman. "Looks like a medical ship." Nicole smiled coldly. "Perfect. Move in for the kill." The alien medical ship was trying to reach a planet where the virus was spreading. It carried doctors and supplies that could save thousands of lives. But Nicole didn't care about that. Her fighters surrounded the medical ship and opened fire. The aliens tried to signal that they were non-combatants, but Nicole's squadron kept shooting until the ship exploded. "Good work," she told her pilots. "Let's find another target." This was what the humans had become. They were no longer the hopeful explorers who had first ventured into space. They were killers, shaped by war and loss into something terrifying. On the planet Altair, Captain Sam Mitchell was running a different kind of operation. He was in command of a prisoner camp where captured aliens were being held. But these were not normal prisoners of war. The aliens were being used as test subjects for new weapons. Human scientists wanted to find better ways to kill their enemies. They tested poisons, diseases, and torture methods on the captives. Sam watched through a window as the experiments continued. The aliens screamed in pain, but he felt nothing. They had started this war. They deserved everything they got. "Sir, the new batch of prisoners has arrived," reported his aide. Sam nodded. "Put them in Section C. The doctors want to try the new neural disruptor on them." The aide looked uncomfortable. "Sir, some of these prisoners are children." "I don't care," Sam said. "They're all enemies. Age doesn't matter." This was the darkest part of what humans had become. They had abandoned all moral limits in their quest for revenge. Nothing was forbidden if it helped them hurt their enemies. The Zephyrian military was collapsing. Their ships were too afraid to fight, and their crews were too sick to function properly. Entire fleets surrendered without firing a shot. But the humans were not accepting surrenders. They destroyed every alien ship they found, regardless of whether it was fighting or not. They had become a force of pure destruction. Lieutenant Sarah Kim was commanding a human fleet that had captured the planet Vega Prime. The alien population was trying to evacuate, but the humans were hunting them down. "Block all escape routes," Sarah ordered. "Don't let any of them leave." Her ships surrounded the planet like a net. Any alien vessel that tried to escape was destroyed immediately. The humans were not interested in prisoners or negotiations. "Sir?" "They're broadcasting surrender messages," reported her communications officer. "Ignore them," Sarah replied. "We didn't accept their surrender offers when they attacked our worlds. They don't get to surrender now." The human fleet began bombing the planet from orbit. Cities that had stood for thousands of years were reduced to rubble in hours. Millions of aliens died, but the humans felt no remorse. War Prime Cathvor received a desperate message from one of his remaining admirals. The officer's face was pale with sickness and fear. "War Prime, they've surrounded our home fleet at Centauri. We're outnumbered and outgunned. Our crews are too sick to fight properly. Request permission to surrender." Cathver felt his heart sink. The home fleet was the pride of the Zephyrian military. If it fell, the war would be truly lost. "Denied," he said weakly. "Keep fighting. Find a way to break through." "Sir, with respect, there is no way. These humans ... they fight like demons. They take no prisoners. They show no mercy." The transmission ended as the human fleet opened fire. Cathver watched on his screens as the home fleet was destroyed ship by ship. Each explosion felt like a dagger in his heart. Admiral Jake Morrison was coordinating the human war effort from his new flagship, the U's Vengeance. The ship was built entirely from captured alien technology, making it more powerful than anything humanity had ever created before. "Status report," Jake ordered. Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her console. She was monitoring the virus spread throughout Zephyrian space. Her face showed no emotion as she reported the death toll. "The virus has now infected 80% of their population. Casualty estimates are in the hundreds of millions. They're military effective." 1 year after the Zephyrians first demanded humanity's surrender, War Prime Cathver sat alone in his dying flagship. His empire was gone. His people were scattered and broken. His mighty fleet was nothing but floating wreckage. The virus had killed most of his race. The few survivors hid in remote corners of space, too afraid to use their radios because the humans might hear them. The proud Zephyrian Confederation had become nothing more than a memory. Cathver looked at his shaking hands. The virus was killing him too, eating away at his nervous system day by day. He had maybe weeks left to live. But before he died, he had one last message to send. "Admiral Morrison," he spoke into his communicator, "this is War Prime Cathver. I request permission to speak with you." The reply came quickly. "Speak. I surrender. Not just my fleet, not just my forces. I surrender everything. The Zephyrian Confederation formally yields to humanity. We beg for mercy." There was a long silence. Then Morrison's voice came back, cold and emotionless. Too late. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Retribution. Around him, a fleet of 500 human warships surrounded the last Zephyrian stronghold. The alien base was built inside a massive asteroid, but it wouldn't protect them for long. Jake had changed during the war. His hair was gray now, and his eyes were hard as stone. He had seen too much death, caused too much destruction. The man who had once worried about civilian casualties was gone. Dr. Lisa Grant joined him on the bridge. She looked older too, worn down by the terrible things they had done. "The base is heavily shielded," she reported, "but we can break through with concentrated fire." "How many aliens are inside?" Jake asked. "Approximately 50,000, mostly civilians. Women, children, elderly." Jake felt nothing. Destroy it. Lisa hesitated. "Jake, these are the last of their kind. If we kill them, the Zephyrian race will be extinct." "Good," Jake replied. "They should have thought of that before they threatened our families." The human fleet opened fire. Thousands of weapons turned the asteroid into molten rock. The last Zephyrian stronghold died in a ball of fire. With it died the final remnants of a civilization that had ruled space for 3 centuries. Captain Alex Turner watched the destruction from his ship. He felt empty inside, like a machine that had completed its programming. His wife and daughter were still dead. Killing aliens hadn't brought them back. "Captain, we're receiving surrender signals from the outer colonies," reported his communications officer. "Ignore them," Alex said. "Hunt them down and destroy them. All of them." The war had changed humanity forever. They were no longer the hopeful explorers who had first reached for the stars. They were predators, shaped by loss and anger into something terrible. Captain Sam Mitchell commanded a human fleet that was systematically destroying every trace of Zephyrian civilization. They burned libraries, destroyed art, and wiped out historical records. They wanted to erase the aliens from history completely. "Sir, we found another refugee ship," reported his aide. "It's carrying about 2,000 civilians, mostly children." Sam didn't even look up from his reports. "Destroy it." "Sir, they're broadcasting children's voices. They're begging for mercy." "I said destroy it," Sam repeated coldly. The refugee ship exploded in silence. There was no one left to mourn the dead. On Earth, President Kyle Rogers stood in the ruins of New York City. The radiation was finally low enough for people to return, but the city would never be the same. Twisted metal and broken concrete stretched. As far as he could see, General Amanda Stone joined him among the ruins. "Sir, Admiral Morrison reports that the last Zephyrian stronghold has been destroyed. The alien species is now extinct," Rogers nodded slowly. "And the other races? How are they responding?" "Complete terror. Every species in the galaxy is afraid of us now. They're calling us the Deathbringers and the Star Killers. No one wants to have any contact with humanity." "Good," Rogers said. "Fear will keep them in line." But as he spoke, Rogers wondered what humanity had become. They had won the war, but at what cost? They had turned themselves into monsters to defeat their enemies. Commander Nicole Brooks was leading a patrol through what used to be Zephyrian space. Her job was to hunt down any survivors and eliminate them. It was boring work now. There were so few aliens left. "Contact on sensors," reported her wingman. "Looks like a small scout ship." Nicole checked her screens. The ship was tiny, probably, carrying just 1 or 2 aliens. They were running away, not fighting. "Intercept and destroy," she ordered. The alien ship tried to escape, but Nicole's fighters were faster. They caught up easily and opened fire. The ship exploded, and Nicole felt nothing. She had killed so many aliens that it no longer mattered. In the depths of space, the few surviving Zephyrians lived in constant fear. They hid in old mining stations and dead planets, never staying in one place too long. The humans had become like a plague, killing everything they touched. One small group of survivors had found shelter in an abandoned space station. There were maybe 50 of them left, the final remnants of a species that had once numbered in the billions. Elder Vexton, an old alien who remembered the days before the war, spoke to the group. "We must find a way to contact other species. Warn them about the humans. No one will help us," said another survivor. "They're all too afraid. Then we must hide, survive somehow, keep our people alive." But even as he spoke, human ships were approaching their hiding place. Someone had detected their energy signature. The hunt would continue until every last alien was dead. Major Rick Davis commanded the operation to eliminate the final survivors. He moved his ships through the asteroid field like a net, searching every rock and crater. "Found them," reported his scanner operator. 50 life signs on that old mining station." Rick looked at the station through his view screen. It was a pathetic hiding place for the last of a once mighty empire. But he felt no pity. All ships open fire, no survivors. The station exploded in a bright flash. 50 more aliens died, bringing their species one step closer to extinction. Dr. Lisa Grant sat in her laboratory, looking at samples of Zephyrian DNA. She was one of the few people who understood what humanity had accomplished. They had completely destroyed another intelligent species. "We've become genocidal maniacs," she said to herself. But even as she spoke, she continued working on new biological weapons. The war was over, but humanity was preparing for the next one. They would be ready if any other species challenged them. Admiral Morrison received the final report from his fleet commanders. After 1 year of systematic hunting, they had found and destroyed the last group of Zephyrian survivors. The alien species was now completely extinct. Confirmed kills, 847 million, read the report. Survivors, 0. Mission accomplished. Morrison looked out at the stars and felt a strange emptiness. He had spent a year dedicated to genocide, and now it was finished. What was he supposed to do with the rest of his life? The galaxy had changed forever. Where once dozens of species had traded and communicated, now there was only silence. Everyone was afraid of the humans and what they might do next. Captain Tony Rodriguez was commanding a patrol near the edge of human space when he encountered a ship from the Centauri Republic. The aliens immediately broadcast surrender signals and begged not to be attacked. "Please, we mean no harm," the alien captain said. "We are just traders. We have families." Tony stared at the alien ship for a long moment. A year ago, he might have felt sympathy. Now he felt nothing but contempt. "Turn around and leave," he ordered. "If I see you in human space again, I'll kill you." The alien ship fled as fast as it could go. Word would spread that the humans were still dangerous, still ready to kill without warning. This was humanity's legacy. They had saved themselves by becoming something terrible. They had taught the galaxy to fear them, and that fear would last for generations. War Prime Kethver died alone in his ship, the virus finally claiming his life. With his death, the last leader of the Zephyrian Confederation was gone. There was no one left to remember their great empire or mourn their passing. Human ships found his derelict vessel a week later. They destroyed it without ceremony, erasing the final trace of their enemy. Years passed. The galaxy remained quiet. No species dared to challenge humanity or even make contact with them. The humans controlled a growing sphere of space that other races avoided completely. Children of other species learned new stories. They were told about the Deathbringers from Sol, the monsters who had wiped out an entire civilization. Parents used these stories to frighten their young into behaving. "Be good," they would say, "or the humans will come for you." On Earth, monuments were built to honor the human victory. But they were strange monuments, celebrating destruction rather than creation. They honored the dead aliens rather than the living humans. Admiral Morrison, now old and gray, stood before one such monument. It showed a human soldier standing over the bodies of alien enemies. The inscription read, "They wanted war. We taught them fear." A young reporter asked Morrison, "About the war. Do you have any regrets, sir?" Morrison thought for a long moment. Regrets? No, we did what we had to do. The Zephyrians forced us to become monsters. But we survived, and they didn't. That's all that matters. But, sir, we killed an entire species. Doesn't that bother you? Morrison's eyes were cold as winter. They killed our children first. Ever.